Hello everyone, welcome back to Blacksmith Studios. My name is Jack and today we are going to be talking about the leaked Avengers Doomsday cast. Now, please take this with a grain of salt. Marvel hasn't officially confirmed any of this, but this information comes from the source of Jeff Snyder, who has a really strong track record. He even reported that Robert Downey Jr. will return as Doctor Doom 2 months before Marvel announced it. So, if you're trying to avoid spoilers, then this is your clue to click off the video. But whilst we have a person giving this information who has a really strong track record, like I said, take it with a grain of salt, could be completely false, or information provided to him that is subject to change, or is false initially. So, anyway. I'm just going to go through the leaked cast list first. We have Mark Ruffalo returning as Bruce Banner / the Hulk, Benedict Wong returning as Wong, Brie Larson returning as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, Don Cheadle returning as James Rhodes, War Machine, Karen Gillan returning as Nebula, Jeremy Renner returning as Clint Barton, Hawkeye, Iman Vellani returning as Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, Danae Guerrera returning as Okoye. Apologies if I pronounced that completely wrong. Tessa Thompson returning as Valkyrie, Ki Hui Huan returning as Ouroboros or Obi, Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, Will Poulter as Adam Warlock, Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams as Ironheart, Xochitl Gomez returning as America Chavez, Sophia DiMartino returning as Sylvie, Tatiana Maslany returning as Jennifer Walters or She-Hulk, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II returning as Simon Williams, Wonder Man, Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang as Stature or Stinger, Wunmi Masako as Hunter B-15, Lashana Lynch as Maria Rambeau Binary, Famke Janssen as Jean Grey, Halle Berry as Aurora Monroe Storm, Kai Zen returning as Phyla Vell, Owen Wilson as Mobius, Chris Pratt as Peter Quill Star-Lord, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, Charlize Theron as Clea, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Hayley Atwell as Peggy Carter in some capacity, a variant of which, Chris Evans in the same way as a Steve Rogers variant in some capacity, Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon, Vin Diesel as Groot, and finally, Maria Bakalova as Cosmo. So what does this tell us? First off, how the hell is Marvel going to fit all of these characters into one movie? While I'm kidding partially, seriously, it is a really packed cast. But I'm going to break down each member by team. So it looks like we're seeing a continuation of kind of what I theorized in my Thunderbolts Ending Explained video, with two separate Avengers teams, the classic team led by Captain America, which would include Hulk, Wong, Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, War Machine, and some new additions like Wonder Man and maybe She-Hulk as well. So we're seeing kind of the gaps being filled here. Another one is the Young Avengers. Looks like we're getting a Young Avengers lineup taking shape here with Miss Marvel, Cassie Lang, Ironheart, and America Chavez. But oddly, Wiccan Speed and Kate Bishop aren't mentioned. Now, I probably wouldn't have put these characters in the film. If I'm being honest, I would have kept them separate because we don't really need to see the Young Avengers in this movie. Maybe we could see a Champion series during Avengers Doomsday, similarly to how we're getting Spider-Man 4 during Avengers Doomsday, but I wouldn't have thrown them in here. This is why I didn't include them in my Avengers Doomsday pitch. We're getting some X-Men characters as well. We're getting Storm and Jean Grey. They're finally hinting at more involvement with the X-Men, of course. And given that the Marvel's post-credit scene, went the way it did, it makes sense that the X-Men universe that we will see during this multiversal incursion is the same one that we saw Monica appear at the end of the Marvels. So, yeah, it kind of fits well together. We're getting some more TVA characters as well. Apparently, the TVA is going to essentially be the final battlefield in this movie, and that it's going to be a race towards Loki, which obviously includes the TVA. So we're getting some more TVA characters announced in this with B-15, Mobius, Sylvie, and Obi. Really cool to see these people back, and I'm really glad that Sylvie's returning. I was a little bit worried about her. We're also getting some of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, Rocket is now leading this new Guardians, so his appearance kind of makes sense. But I'm just a bit curious about the rest of the team. So, of course, Star-Lord is back on Earth, right? So he could definitely join the new Avengers, and that's or Cap's new Avengers, sorry, as well, and that's absolutely fine. But if Marvel include the rest of the Guardians, I mean, it makes sense how, Star-Lord can call them down to help them out. And whilst they were great in Infinity War and Endgame, I think it's a bit too much for this movie. I feel like the Guardians could have maybe sat this one out. While Star-Lord could have called them up or could join the new Avengers because he's on Earth now. It makes no sense how these... it makes sense while the other Guardians appear, but it's just a little bit too much. Just for one film. And furthermore, the fact that Nebula's mentioned on this list, she is, running nowhere at the moment. And from how the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 ended, it kind of felt like she wasn't really going to have a play in the MCU going forward, but she's in this list. Then we've got Strange and Clea, who obviously will return with crucial knowledge about incursions and the multiverse, following up from Multiverse of Madness when they disappeared. Clea obviously warned Strange that there is a incursion that was caused by Strange, and then they had to go fix it, so obviously they will likely come back at the end of this movie. I do have a Doctor Strange 3 pre-write on the way. I am currently editing it, and it essentially fits into my Doomsday, Secret Wars, and my Spider-Man 4 pre-write as well, so it kind of fits well there. But no, it's really, really, really cool, and I really like my Doctor Strange 3 pitch that I've got for you guys, so check that out, and you'll kind of see what Marvel could have done with Doctor Strange 3 if it was to be released before Avengers Doomsday. Steve Rogers and Peggy are back as well, but we really don't know who they're playing. That's why I said it was some capacity. We could see Captain Carter, of course, or we could see Steve returning as Captain Hydra, a Nomad, or we could see them literally as Peggy Carter and Captain America, as we saw them maybe at the end of Avengers Endgame. We have theorized this before, of course, but it is still a mystery as to who they're playing. And going off of What If Season 3 as well, Peggy is apparently erased from the multiverse. So it depends on whether they retcon that, or they show a scene where Steve Rogers and Peggy are dancing back in time, and then Peggy disappears, creating a further branch where Steve Rogers rejoins the Avengers. I don't know, but that's just a theory. But from this huge list, there are some noticeable absences. The Eternals, which I'm going to be honest, not surprised that they haven't appeared. I think they just crowd the story more. And to be honest, I kind of wanted the Eternals to appear in more Guardians movies. So this is why I'm shocked that the Guardians are appearing. I think it would have been better if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4 kind of continued the Eternals storyline with Star Fox and everything. But now that they're part of this plot, I just feel like it's too much. Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like it's odd that they're not mentioned, because I think that the Fox X-Men universe is this other universe that we're going to see, and I think that's where Monica Rambeau ended up at the end of the Marvels. See my Avengers Doomsday pitch for more information about that. But yeah, I find that very odd. Another character is Kraglin. I mean, if they're including the new Guardians, Kraglin is the only member of the Guardians who isn't mentioned. So, I mean, it could be unrelated, but I also think it could be tied to the fact that James Gunn has left Marvel and started DC, and of course Kraglin is playing Maxwell Lord in Superman. It could be part of that, but I don't want to assume. Another character is Spider-Man, but I kind of feel that this makes sense because this lines up with the reports that Spider-Man 4 and Doomsday are going to happen at the same time, and I love that as a concept, and it explains his absence. This way, the Doomsday event encompasses a few different projects, including Spider-Man 4, meaning that Spider-Man 4 could be like Peter Parker's own version of Doomsday, if that makes sense, putting all the attention on him. And then Battleworld will be where this Endgame event will happen, where all these storylines will combine and collide into one story. Now, whilst this leak may be tied to contract timing, with apparently Marvel didn't even, they started production before finalizing the cast and even the script. So it could be that this is now coming out the woodwork because Marvel have tied in a few more contracts. Risky, if I'm being honest, because it would have been odd to see the X-Men appear and not Storm and Jean Grey, but regardless, it is still exciting to think about. But anyway, what do you think about this Doomsday cast leak? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And remember, all this is subject to change. It could be fake, it could be real. Me personally, I love it. I just wouldn't include the Young Avengers or the Guardians of the Galaxy, if I'm honest. And I would include Deadpool and Wolverine for sure. That doesn't mean I don't love the Guardians. That doesn't mean I don't love the Young Avengers. I think a Champion series during Doomsday, or maybe set just before, would be amazing. And obviously you could make them join the fight in Secret Wars, but I just don't think Doomsday was great. I think for Doomsday, the Thunderbolts, Captain America's Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Wakandans joining together against Doom is good enough. I think that's great. But anyway, thank you all so much for listening. I really, really do appreciate it. Like I said before, I've got an Avengers Doomsday pre-write video where I break down my theories for the plot. So please check that out if you get a chance. I will put that in the link above now. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.